Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Football!
Football, yeah! Football!
Football!
Let's go. Hey.
Football.
Let's go right now. Oh, let's the YouTube layout looks a little different here. So we've got, let's see, Declan, me, Judd, and then there's a...
Why is there a blank panel?
Well, I don't know. We might have a technical problem. Let me just for sure shout out TCL here, and we'll see if we can fix the technical problem. TCL
What did I do?
is, we think, a proud sponsor of us at Purple Daily, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs, delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Learn more at TCL.com and inspire greatness with TCL. So I don't know. Is there any way we can fill that gap with something, Declan?
Let me see. Let's see what can we use this executive title.
Abracadabra, football, poof.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa. It's the Rhino.
Football, yeah! Football!
He's back.
What's up?
Got it.
It's so good to be back. So good to be back.
Man, you know what that looks like to me? That looks like a man that could still play guard in the National Football League.
Hey,
Let's talk to Alex. Let's talk to your
that.
wife. We just need 4 months.
Come on.
Need 4 months, dude.
Come
okay.
on.
Don't do this to me. I can't handle it, okay?
Kirk needs you.
I'm too old. Kirk needs a lot of things, okay? He needs to start coming in on Tuesday, too, okay? Hey, don't get me started.
Now, does that apply? Does that apply on the short week here? Like, does Kirk still take the Tuesday off before a Thursday game? Or
Tuesday. I told you every Tuesday, regardless of schedule, it's Tuesday. Gotta get the kids off to school. Okay, it's important.
Got to be watching cartoons in the morning. Big bowl of breakfast.
I love cartoons.
Big bowl of oats. Big bowl of oats kind of guy.
Some fiber one. Stay regular. So, by the way, if you're new here on Purple Daily, Alex Boone is our 10-year NFL veteran friend. He played in the Super Bowl with the 49ers. He played for the Vikings. Loved it in Minnesota so much he stayed in Minnesota. He is one of us. And he has a brand new podcast also and a YouTube channel. You can find the O-Line Committee on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, where Alex, Jeremiah Searles are breaking down film. They're talking trash about whoever they want to and generally clowning around. So O-Line Committee on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. You have your own platform to just be you, I guess, now.
It's ridiculous. And it's going to be great, especially for the season because of all this new film, which I think we're all excited for. Like, we're sick of watching preseason. It doesn't even mean anything anymore. And it's been so long since you've seen a real fumble and people try to not dive on it. It's just, I'm telling you guys, it's back. And I can't tell you how excited I am and how excited you guys are probably not. Because, Mackie, we talked about it on the O-Line Committee. It's Baker Mayfield. How hard could it be? I mean, dude, it was him or Kyle Trask. I mean, you're telling me you couldn't walk out of there with a dub?
I mean, how does this now sit? Like, it's one thing for us to sit here, and we must have picked the record like 6 different times going back to January. When the schedule comes out the first time, you do the record. Then when the order of the schedule comes out, and then the drive, and like every single one of us, all 3 times across the room, it gets dicey in Philadelphia. You got Patrick Mahomes on your schedule, but this is a for sure win in week 1, right? You have all off season to prepare. If you're in that locker room now, like, Justin Jefferson was sitting on the sidelines just with a blank look on his face as the time counted down. So how does this land, do you think?
Not well. I mean, I think this is one of those games where they were probably going in thinking it was going to be a lot easier. I can tell you for a fact that there weren't a lot of people going in saying Baker Mayfield was going to look good enough to beat the Vikings. I mean, and there was times where it falls on the whole team. I mean, there's some of the things, the new scheme on defense that at times where I'm looking at it, I'm like, I think this is going to be a problem right here. And sure enough, the ball goes right there because you're just like, it's too voidable. You can't just leave it that wide open. And then on offense, when you're talking about giving up fumbles and turning the ball over and giving the ball away physically to a defender, I mean, this is one of those things where it's like ball security is the most important thing you can have in any game. And we always stress that everywhere. And there's like a formula that if you go on the road and you lose the ball this amount of times, the chances of winning are X%. And if you take away the ball this amount of times, but it's like, in order for the game to become even, I think you have to have one takeaway as an away team. And when you have 3 right away, it just kind of gives you a different confidence. And you're kind of, the offense is looking at the defense like you stopped them right before the half. Great job. Look at this. We can roll with this. Like, it's all these things where it just turns around. It's like there's a lot of people to blame. And when you're looking at it, it's just a bad, sour taste.
Can we all agree, too, that the Vikings lost that game? That Tampa Bay, I mean, nothing Tampa Bay did. I said, oh, my God, I didn't see this. The Buccaneers are going to be good now. The Buccaneers, the Vikings dug their own grave here, and that's what bugged me. Like, you have all training camp. You knew the stakes here, Booney, because Philadelphia on Thursday is going to be tough as hell. So, like, everything.
Real tough.
Yeah, everything about that loss in a lot of ways bothered me, because I really felt like the Vikings blew an opportunity. And look, week 1 is ugly. Week 1 is because teams, don't hit in training camp much now. Nobody's expecting week 1 to look great. What you're expecting is, if you're supposed to win in week 1, that you do win that game. And there were a lot of things that the Vikings put on film that really bugged me about how they performed.
I agree with you. And I think it was all phases. And I think one of the things that showed up was.
Are you playing music right now, Booney?
No. Am I?
Someone's got something going.
Hold on.
Is that your Taylor Swift mix? Your Taylor Swift workout mix?
Are you a red guy? Or are you a
What are my
folklore
kids'
guy?
things? I don't know, guys. You know how it is. The kids, Mackie, you know how it is. There's kids stuff everywhere. It's insane.
Actually, Phil has no clue.
No, I know how it is with Alex. I don't.
He knows exactly how it is. There's always
Me and
kids.
Johnny are
say,
tight. Yeah.
I was going to say, is there something we don't know, Phil? Congratulations.
No.
Yes, I've been welcomed into Alex's family as a co-parent. Actually, it's great.
You don't want that. You don't want that. No, I agree with you completely. And I think that one of the biggest things was special teams for me showed up in a big way. And they were just not good. And then the offsides that leads to a touchdown that was a field goal. It's one of those things where you're just digging your own grave. And when you don't have good starting field position, it's like, here we go. We're going to get ourselves out of this one. And then you drive all the way down and then you turn the ball over and you're like, okay, all of that for nothing. And now we got to start all over. Then you're out of rhythm again because you're getting sacked or the offensive line's not blocking up front. The run game's not going as well as it should be. There was a million things going on that you're just like, guys, something has to come down. Somebody has to grab this at some point and do something. This is the Buccaneers, and this ain't the Tom Brady Buccaneers either, dude. This is the Baker Mayfield Buccaneers. Like, this is not going. He throws the ball so annoying at times because he tries to, like, throw a fastball every single time, and I'm like, please, somebody hit him harder. Like, I can't watch it. I just can't watch it, dude. And I'm like, somebody get to him. And that was the other thing was defensively. Like, I get what Brian Flores does. The bring 8 up, the do all that. We get all that. At the same time, when you're doing that and you drop 8, that's cool too. But when you leave these huge voids at times, or, if you have 8 up and you have an off coverage, you have all of this green grass for them to do something. Because even if you do drop, it's going to take time for those guys to get there. And at the same time, if all these guys are moving parts and you're trying to get to your spot and things are happening at the same time, like, it just creates too much chaos. So I'm looking at this, like you just said, this is a whole team where you're like, hey, we got to shore all this up by Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday against a really good team. Okay. Like, this has to be sewn up. That's a big job to do. And that's where you're looking at this, like, how is Thursday going to go now?
Well, this is what, and I sat here on we did a morning live stream every day after Vikings game, 9:00 on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. And the three turnovers literally went from, you would have blown them out by double digits if you don't turn the ball over at the goal line, if you don't get strip sacked. And we'll go over the film of Winfield strip sacking Cousins and get your take on it.
Oh yeah,
can't wait. I thought there was a lot of good. Like, they moved the ball in the air. They ran a lot of heavier personnel that opened up things in the passing game. A lot of good things. But at the end of the day, they are likely to start 0-2 for all the reasons you just said. They are underdogs on Thursday. It's a short week. The Eagles just went to the Super Bowl. The Eagles look pretty damn good in New England in week 1-2. And so I don't know. I just got to, over the last 48 hours, and you tell us, they probably went from, this is great, we're going to take a step forward offensively, we got our new defensive coordinator in here, it's a home game week 1, to, like, within a week and a half, you might be sitting here 0-2, and Patrick Mahomes is coming up on your schedule. It's just kind of amazing how things can spiral quickly in the first 2 weeks of the season if you let it like they just did.
That fast. I mean, just that fast. And there was times too, and I'm not going to say this as harshly as I should. It was just times where guys just seemed like they were a little bit out of place. Like they didn't look like they didn't know what was going on, or they didn't realize the situation at times. And I bring up this one with Ezra. Do you remember the screen where it was like the fake 36 quick screen right away? And it's like, you got to get down and you got to get out. And then all of a sudden, as he's getting out, he's trying to throw a hand. And it was like, listen, you got to know that screen's going to happen quick. And at the same time, your 1-2 step have to be even faster. And you got to get out there, because the whole game you're going in saying these two linebackers can go sideline to sideline super fast. Like, that's what they've been known for. These guys can do a lot of things really quickly. So if you're going to make a play on them, you have to be thinking faster than them, and you have to get there faster than them. And that's where the sense of urgency has to show up for me.
Booney, why is the Vikings screen game under Kevin O'Connell like painfully bad? It's not even just yesterday. Like last year it was bad. Tight end slip screens are bad. Running back screens are bad. Is that a product of just bad offensive line? Is that a product of the quarterback not getting the ball out? Like what's in that stew of why the screen game just cannot work under Kevin O'Connell?
I'm going to be honest, screen games are hard. And Mackie, we've talked about this too before. Like, you have to be really dialed in to be a good screen team. You have to be believable up front. You have to sell it. At the same time, they have to be like wanting to get home right now. It's just a mixture of the perfect storm. And at the same time, you have to have a really good back that's really believable in there. And when you're doing tight end screens, they have to happen really, really fast. The Vikings ran one this last week that was really, really good. And I'm trying to think of who it went to, and I can't remember, but it was it must have been the Hawk, and it just happened so quick. And it's one of those things where if you don't sell it right now, it's not believable. And at the same time, if you don't sell it right now, everybody dropping sees these offensive line turning their backs and starting to run, so they start to figure it out really quickly. And when you have a defense who has linebackers that can move super, super fast, you got to be on them quicker than they want to be. And that's what I was talking about before. Like, the sense of urgency has to go way, way up against these guys.
So, Booney, if there's a key there for who's not selling it correctly, why fundamentally it doesn't work from the jump, where does that blame go?
I think a lot of it probably goes a little bit on the offensive line, just because of when you sell it, you want to make it believe like that it's really hard to explain. When they're selling a screen, you want to make it seem like they really beat you naturally. Like, you don't want to make it seem like you just set and then you just kind of run out of there. Like, they kind of get that sense quickly. You want to make it seem like you have to get in there. And a lot of it is we used to short set guys and jump set them to make it seem like we were just completely out of position, so that when they did beat us, it was more believable. But then at the same time, you have to have everything behind you selling. You have to have the running back stepping up. You have to have the quarterback looking somebody off. Like, there's a lot of pieces that go into this. And at the same time, is the defense blitzing? Are they not blitzing? What's the situation? Are you third down? Are you second down? Like, the mentality of everything now has changed. So you have to be out there trying to sell it as much as you can. It's like a lot of times in the play actions, the coaches used to get on us all the time. Like, this isn't believable and this isn't sellable. And it was like, well, who cares? But then as you go down later on the stretch, teams start to see that and they start to go, oh, okay, look, this is exactly what we thought. They're just getting lazier and lazier every time. So you really have to make it believable and have people sell everything out there.
I love, since we're already into the meat and potatoes here, into the weeds.
Why not? Hey, listen,
I want to dig even deeper here.
It's only week 1, guys. Oh my God.
I have a personnel.
We should not be correcting this much stuff. I'm just going to say it, okay? I'm already irritated. God.
Yeah, maybe Ed Ingram can stop slapping the ball out of his quarterback's hands on the.
How many hand slaps did we see?
Well, last year it was him stepping on Kirk's feet every other play, I feel like. And now we're like flailing our hands and knocking the ball out too. Like, what is that?
I just yelled at my 6th grade team about spacing. And sometimes I feel bad because I yell at these guys. But Mackie, I come from talking to college players and NFL guys. So when I go down to them, I'm like talking to them. And I'm like, why are our splits so bad? And they're like, Coach, what's a splits? I'm like, God, I forgot you guys are in the 6th grade. All right, listen. Let's
banana splits. What are we talking about?
Like you got to go all the way back. And then I was doing flag with the pre-K on Sunday. Oh my God, take it back to 0. Like, this is a football. Does everybody know what a football is? Joey, get over here, Joey. Dude, it's insane. I'm telling you. But that's the thing. Like, when you have to talk about that in the NFL room, That's a problem. Like, hey, we need to get a little bit more splits. We need to be a little bit more tight when we're running. We can't just flail our hands when we're running out of here. At the same time, like, the quarterback's never really wrong, right? Like, even if it was something that Kirk did, nobody really will ever know. It's always going to fall on the O-lineman, because if you start to spook the quarterback, it's going to be a huge problem, right? Like, if you start to go to him like, hey, what were you doing on that one? Did you reverse out wrong something, or you were holding the ball out to her? Then all of a sudden in his mind, he's like, oh my God, did I do something wrong? Instead of just going to the big dumb animal and going, hey, you did it wrong, stupid. Like, they used to come to us all the time. Like, you stepped on the quarterback's foot. And be like, dude, didn't he reverse out the wrong way? And they'd be like, doesn't matter. You stepped on his foot, stupid. You'd be like, I'm sorry. Totally won't do that. I didn't even do anything wrong. What?
Yeah. Eddie Ingram probably got that a couple times last year.
Guaranteed they got into him.
Do you think so? There's a lot of Vikings fans today, and I promise we're going to look at a featured play on film here in a moment. But a lot of Vikings fans are just fed up with the interior offensive line. You know, last year Ezra Cleveland in pass protection, Ezra Cleveland and Ed Ingram had the first and second most pressures allowed, whatever. And yesterday during that game, Vikings fans were tweeting at Dalton Risner, and he was responding to all of them with, I'm ready, I'm waiting, I'd love a phone call. Is that like, I guess my question would be, why is he even still available? If he's like a fate-changing offensive lineman, why is he available, week 1 of the NFL season at age 26? But
you're not.
Is that a phone call you'd make at this point? Is he good?
I think so. I think there's a lot of phone calls getting made today about that. I mean, it's just one of those things where if you start off the season like that, and you had to know going into the season that Todd Bowles is going to run a ton of pressure. I mean, I played against Todd a long time ago when he was with Arizona, and he still runs the same defense, the same blitzes, the same downs, the same distances. It never changes. Like, he is the same guy. I'm going to throw a ton of things at you. A lot of it's going to come from up the middle or inside the tackles, because I know that your quarterback can't handle pressure from up the middle. I just don't get why this becomes such a problem where all of a sudden you have to start tweeting at people like, hey, are you available? And to Dalton, you are way better than that. You are way better than that to respond. Oh, my phone is waiting. I'm waiting for a phone call. If you're waiting, then wait, dude. You don't have to tell everybody that you're waiting. Like, we got it. I can't stand that, Mac. You know how much I hate that. I hate that.
Do not open up his Twitter feed then, because it would like all afternoon.
Open it. I want to hear your opinions of his responses. That'd be
don't,
far more
please,
fun.
God. You know how I feel about that. But at the same time, it's like you go into this game knowing that Todd's going to do what he does, right? And we know that Vita Vea is who he is, and we know that these linebackers are super, super fast, right? Like, that's some things will never change. And when you're not prepared week 1 after spending the last 4 weeks completely committed, it starts to make a lot of people go, what is going on, right? And it's not like I had a lot of faith going into this season, because there are so many other teams that when you look around the league that are doing so many things that are awesome and innovative, and they're starting to come around and be like, okay, this is important. We need to start shoring up the offensive line, or we need to start getting better running backs, or we need to start doing all these things on defense. So it's kind of like, listen, when you go into this season and this is what you look like, and I've been seeing the videos and I've been going to a couple of the training camp practices, and there's not a lot going in there that's like, man, things have changed. It's going to change. It's going to change this year. If anything, I was like, are we sure we wanted to get rid of Dalvin? Are we sure we did? Because if anything, when he's in there, the threat of a fear of what that guy could do if he ever turned up, or if he ever felt the need to turn up, was scary enough.
Yeah, Judley?
But how do you not – here's what I don't get. How do you have the hubris or mistaken confidence to think that that entire interior of the offensive line is fine? Like, you watched them. You played Ingram every game, every snap, I believe, last year. Yesterday was his 19th game. He's not young at this point. How do you not make one change there? I mean, you might decide Cleveland's fine. You might decide Bradbury's fine. Although a bad back, as you know, with a lineman scares me and might bite him in the ass on that. But I don't get how you just bring everybody back, to your point, watch training camp and say, yeah, it's good enough. And there's no backup plan.
Well, I think that's the problem, is that they were hoping that enough of the play action would get them, and that enough of this would open up this defense, and enough of Justin Jefferson running down the field would have the entire defense chasing him, and all these other guys would end up being free. And all of a sudden, when that doesn't happen and you're facing pressure and you're turning the ball over, those are the things that you don't account for. And those are the moments when you stop and you look back at everybody and you go, hey, let's just go back to square one. Let's just start with simple handoffs. Okay? Like, literally, they would come to the sideline and look at us and go, okay, we clearly can't throw the ball today, so we're going to run it. And since you guys don't know what's going on, we're just going to do simple handoffs, okay? So we're going to keep things simple, okay? We're going to do a little 36 mic. We're going to do a little draw. We're going to do a little bit of this. You know what? You guys prove to us that you know what you're doing out there, and we don't need to teach you all this again, and we'll start leveling up. And it's one of those things where now you look at it and it's like, you're playing a team that you should be dominating, in my opinion, that you should have been dominating. You should have been taking advantage of all their blitzing. You should have been taking advantage of everybody being in the box when they were, and just spreading them out and being like, hey, let's just make this quick throws. Let's just play into what we know how to do. We'll spread them out. We'll get the ball out quickly. We'll force them off our back a little bit. We'll get them back there. And then once we do, we'll come back into our game. But instead, you're turning the ball over. You're coming back. You're not converting third downs that you would normally convert. And all of a sudden, it's like, what is this going on right now? Everybody looks a little panicked. The special teams aren't playing well. Defense is starting to give up a little bit. It's just one of those things where it just starts to go down this rabbit hole. And you're like, dude, somebody's got to pull us back to square one.
Well, let's dive into some. We have one featured play here that we want your take on that we'll make full screen here in a second. And for future weeks, we're going to have even more film. Long story short, they're late getting film out, and we're early recording here, and so we're gonna have much more than one play going forward on these trenches episodes. But this was the biggest play of the game. This was first half. According to the analytics websites, which Alex frequents, I know he has several of those on his bookmark page.
PFF,
this was
huge fan.
The single biggest game-swinging play was Vikings driving, and then Antoine Winfield comes through on a blitz and strip sacks Kirk Cousins. So we're going to get Alex's take on what happened in the trenches on this play here after we shout out our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Do they have higher or lower on how many times your offensive line swats the ball out of your own quarterback's hands? Is that included in Underdog?
It shockingly doesn't, but I can shout out the offensive line for giving me -7 yards on a Hawkinson prop that made me not hit a parlay because he lost 7 yards on his last 2 receptions due to poor screenplay executions. But them's are the breaks. Those are the breaks on Underdog Fantasy. You can join Underdog Fantasy, promo code SCORE, SKOR. They'll match your first deposit. You'll get a special pick'em slip as well. Plus, they now have in-game props. So last year was just, between the game when it starts, halftime, now there's in-game props that you can see on Underdog Fantasy for all the slate of games. Go to Underdog Fantasy, download promo code SCORE. It's in the YouTube comment section, and go download the Underdog Fantasy app.
Boom. And also a shout out to our friends over at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. It's like having a great offensive line for your business. That's what Federated brings. They bring over 100 years of experience in helping business owners maximize their success through risk management tools and resources. They will not allow you, the quarterback of your business, to be sacked, strip sacked, and embarrassed. Okay? Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours.
Football.
All right, Booney. So I'll run this play once here, and then we'll go back, and you can dissect it from every which way. But this was bad. This is not good here.
Are we talking about the graininess of the film, or are we talking about the actual play? I'm kidding.
Oh, wow.
I'm kidding.
Blame the CBS cameras.
Oh, Tay. Calm down. All right, listen, here we go. This is a great look, right? This is what everyone's starting to do now. Pay attention, everybody. They got 5 up, so this is an instant 5-0. Everybody's 5-0ing this. You have to. This is what they're making you do, and it puts everybody on an island. So Darisaw is on 54. Ezra Cleveland's on number 7. You got Schlotman. I think that's Vita Vea. You got Ed Ingram. I don't know who that is. Yep. And then you got Brian out there. And then so that puts the running back Ham, which is why Ham's back here, which shout out to Ham a lot.
He was out there a lot, by the way. He might have like tied his career high in like career snaps yesterday, I feel like.
Love him.
They must trust him in pass protection is why he was
Which you can tell, which is great. That's a great quality to be in a running back, something that not a lot of these guys have. But it basically puts him on everybody else coming, right? So it puts him on.
I'll draw these again for you.
Yeah.
So. All right, so there's the five. There's the
worst
the
lines I've ever seen. I'm going to teach you how to draw these, but yes. So then that puts him, I think, on Levante David.
You want the little hat?
There.
You want the hats on the things?
Yeah, but you would never draw it like that because that would be more of like a run block, right? Like I'm coming.
We didn't watch a lot of film in 8th grade football, which is the last time I played.
Letting you know. Anyways, it puts Ham on. I believe that's Levante David back there, right? And so that basically puts your boy Winfield. Shout out to his dad. Yep, go ahead and draw him up.
Yeah, there we go.
On number 8.
So Kirk knows it's 5-on-5 here with CJ Ham. And by the way, if there's one thing that I've learned going over film with you last year on Purple Daily and O-line committee, it's that you protect from the inside out first, right?
Always.
So if linebacker and Winfield are both coming, CJ Ham would pick up starting in the middle. Like his priority would be protect the middle first. Is that correct?
Yes. And we'd always, number one, we would always want to block a linebacker before we'd block a safety. Because if they were to say both of them were to get home, who's going to hurt more, right? Like the linebacker's going to murder that quarterback. Right?
Keeping notes there, Judd. Linebacker's going to hurt Kirk.
Murder. There's going to be a murder.
It's the same thing when it comes to the O lineman up front. Like if you have to take the hit off, go for the D lineman. Why? Because he's probably going to hurt way more. But inside right there, like you said, we always protect inside out back to 6th grade football because the quarterback hates pressure from the inside. Anything from the outside, as we saw, I believe it was in this game, you can escape from outside pressure, right? Like it's just super, super possible. So this puts this on Kirk. And one of the things he has to know is, well, that we know is that see these two to the left? Well, number one, he's dropping. They're twisting, but he doesn't know in real time that this defensive end is dropping. So technically, Darrisaw's coming in to save a life. He's pushing Ezra Cleveland back in, right? He drops into coverage. But you can't ask a quarterback in real time as the ball snapped, hey, did he drop or not? So he should just know right now you're hot. You're hot off Winfield, no matter what. Why? Because we're not going to play this silly guessing game of did he come or did he not. I'm going to assume since he's walked up, he's coming. He's a defensive lineman. Like, I'm not going to go, oh, my gosh. Right. But you need to know that when Winfield comes, it makes you hot somewhere. So where's your hot route? I don't really see one. I don't see one.
Ignore that yellow line. That's Matt Ryan's telestrator that I'm snagging this from. Credit to CBS.
Credit. But this is why this falls on Kirk, and you have to know where your hot route is. And the problem is in this screen, he's looking to his left, and that route doesn't become open until he gets hit, which makes me think there is no hot route on this.
Yeah. Is that a KOC thing, or does Kirk need to check?
Thing. Yeah. No. Okay. Number one, am I thinking Antoine Winfield's coming? No.
He's playing it kind of cool over here. Look at him.
He's not topped. Yeah. That's my
not
one.
Paying attention. He's not paying. It's not like going for a walk.
Never go for body language because you just can't rely on that. Guys mess around way too much out there. But the one thing that would tell me as an O lineman is there's no one topping him. He's not capped. He's not topped. I don't see a safety over him. Whoever he's covering is way out there. And if that middle linebacker's covering out there, something's going crazy. Now there must be something out there that we don't see right there.
What, flashing over in the middle?
Yeah. No, number. Carlton Davis. Carlton Davis is over there. So technically, if I am Kirk, I know right now something's up. Go back.
Right. Here, let me go wide view here, by the way. So you're looking at the receiver count at the beginning. So at the top of this play here. So you're saying, all right, JJ's covered here. What's Winfield doing, right? Winfield
he is the safety. That's why I'm saying Kirk should know. Yeah. You should know this. And since now we see the whole picture, and I'm glad you paused it right here. See how he's the safety and he's walked down? Because at first I'm like, wait, where's the safety? He is the safety, silly.
Yeah,
so he's obviously like, wait a minute. Kirk should be like, why is there two guys now? Would this be weird? No, because it could be a weird bracket coverage. It's 3rd and 6. They want to stop the slant. He could just be in here. But you should know safety up. 2 guys are probably something's going on. There's too many guys over here.
Yep.
And as soon as you see him coming, you should be like, I need to get rid of the ball. But as we see here, who's our hot route?
Yeah, would it be?
Hot routes have to be
KJ Osborne, but not really because
he's running around.
He's not.
He's
you're in the middle of the field.
Who's cutting out? Is that Jordan? Yeah.
But once you're
Addison
hot,
who's coming out around here.
Here's a dumb question. Wouldn't your hot be in the direction of where the extra defender's coming from? Like, shouldn't there be a hot? So. Shouldn't JJ be the hot in here somewhere? But Kirk's looking to his left.
That's why I said he's looking to his left, and by the time that anyone becomes open, he's already getting hit.
Yeah. So, Booney, what on this play too? If you are a guard on this team, how surprising or how disturbing is it that Kirk Cousins, who is, been in this league for a long time now, doesn't really feel frontal pressure? Like, that's always been part of my thing with Kirk is his inability to feel pressure in the pocket. And this one's coming right at him. To me, I mean, that might be a first or second year problem, but I got to believe a lot of quarterbacks by this point are dumping the ball off, if nothing else, or just throwing it out of bounds.
I mean, you would think that somebody running right at you at this level, you would understand and you would feel it. But at the same time, when you're looking to the left the entire time,
yeah,
it's really hard in real time to be like, did you feel that pressure coming? Did you see this guy who's trying to sneak around down here and sneak through here? Like, no, I didn't at all. Like, but at the same time, you're right. You should have a hot route getting somewhere, and you should know this and you should see this. But as soon as he catches that ball, he's looking right to the left. So,
so just to summarize here, and there was other plays where it wasn't his fault that things went wrong or whatever. But on this play, this was the biggest play of the game. I mean, this gave the Buccaneers the football with momentum inside the 30-yard line. It was just because the pressure came through an offensive line gap. Obviously, it wasn't. This one wasn't at Ingram's fault. No. This one wasn't. CJ Ham picked up the guy he was supposed to. This was just a well-designed, free-running blitzer that the quarterback has to be quicker. Like, that's fair?
Pretty much. Or we need to have another route in there that gets us out of trouble faster. Or we need to keep, if we're going to keep like I said, a safety down on Justin Jefferson's side could mean a lot of things, right? But you should have some awareness at the snap what he's doing, especially somebody back off the ball that far. Like, what's going on over here that he's down here? And at the same time, if he's down here, can I throw it to JJ right now? Like, there's so many things going on, but we just saw it. It's not the O-line's fault. It's clearly not Ham's fault. Everybody stood in there. You have to know that something's coming down on you. Things just have to change, and that's why it's just one of those kind of sloppy games. It's just a sloppy game. You're not really expecting that at home. You're week one. You're like, man, we're going to come out. We're going to stomp these dudes. We're going to have fun. We're going to do what we do. We're going to let them know that Baker's not the real deal. And when it doesn't go that way, you're going in at halftime like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What the hell just happened? And you can't stop the bleeding, and then you can't go back out there and put your foot on the gas like you want to. It's just – things need to be switched. And it's one of those things where the schedule makers are just so cruel at times, and they find the most perfect time to be like, oh, yeah? You got a real problem? Guess what? Now you got even another problem because you played on Thursday.
Adversity, baby. It's the entire league. Adversity is the key to this league. It's what I love about it. How do you handle it?
So true. And that's what makes it fun, though. Bang. Because if you can figure it out, like sometimes being in those pressure situations, it sucks because you screwed up a lot. Like you screwed up a lot. But then you look at it like, hey, guys, we can really go out this. We can change some things. We can put some different film out. We can reestablish who we are against a really, really good team. Both of us had to play tough games in week one. We're both coming off some tough teams. Like, let's just go out, restart all this, have some fun. They're coming off a little bit more of an excitement game. So it's like, hey, we got to meet them at their level, which could always be tough on a Thursday because that's really what the Thursday game is. And the fact that you're playing it so early is a little bit of a benefit. But it's one of those games where follow me down this rabbit hole. Now that preseason has changed, that last game that everybody just played was really the first game in a very, very long time. Mm-hmm. They're going to be very sore this week.
Yeah.
So it's like, while you have the benefit of getting the Thursday night game out of the way right away and being like, we're done with it, you also have the added advantage of just coming off your first game of the entire year. So you're like, oh my God, my legs feel like jello. My neck hurts. My shoulders hurt. My fingers hurt. Everything hurts. I got to tough this out because normally you have all week to come back and then you're like, man, I feel fresh for week two. But when you're like, hey, we're going at it right now and we got to fix all these problems at the same time, it's a little bit of a stressor. But it's also fun. It's why you play the game. It's why we do what we do. It's my heart's already pounding for him.
Hey, what did before we get to Declan fires someone's ass, we're going to bring that segment back here on these Trenches episodes. So I was tallying out of curiosity yesterday especially on first down, because first down is when you can use whatever personnel grouping you feel comfortable with. It's whatever your strength is, right? And last year the Vikings were predominantly it was like 70% of first downs they ran 11 personnel in Kevin O'Connell's first season. This year they go sign Josh Oliver from the Ravens. They they bring CJ Ham back on like a 2 or 3 year contract. And they decide, and I haven't done the math on it yet, but it was like 2/3 or more. I want to say let's call it 2/3 of their first downs were either 12, 21, or 13, which is an extra tight end or an extra running back as opposed to a third receiver. And I don't know, they didn't run the ball very well yesterday, but it did seem to open up some stuff in play action bootleg. So my question to you is, if this is what they're going to do going forward here, which is we're going to put an extra tight end on the field more often, and we're going to put an extra running back, we're going to be more like the 49ers or some of these teams that run heavier personnel. Do you like that going forward, even though maybe they didn't win the game yesterday and they didn't run the ball all that well?
Absolutely. I think anytime you can put a tight end on the field, it's a huge advantage, especially when it's somebody like Hawkinson that you can find that can run block and still at the same time pass block. It's like a Kittle, those guys. The more you can have those guys in the field, the more you stress a defense. The more you try to put them in what are we going to play these guys in? Are they going to run it? Are they going to pass it? What are they going to do out of it? That's why one of the things that I found super interesting, and this had nothing to do with it, but just hit my brain, was there was a play on defense, and we talked about this earlier with Brian Flores, where there was 8 guys walked up. And do you remember there was a guy that ran completely free to the quarterback, and Baker ended up sidestepping him or whatever.
Yep.
But we were talking about one of those things about the numbers thing. Remember how we were talking about on our last show, which they changed the numbers on the defense? Mm-hmm. And the minute you can start changing up the numbers and changing up the personnel on defense, it starts to mess with us. And it's kind of like, wait a minute, who's who out here? It's kind of the same thing on offense. If you have the more tight ends that you have that you can do a lot of things with, the defense is looking at you like, who are these guys? Are they route runners this time? Are they run blockers this time? What are they doing? Where are they lining up? What's going on? It's just one of those things that keeps changing. And in the NFL, and it's super fun if you can figure it out, right? All these teams that are going 13 and then they're passing out of it. And all of a sudden everyone's like, well, we had our base in, so we weren't expecting to have these pass rushers in there. But then all of a sudden they go into 11 personnel and they have all these rushers in there and they're running the ball and they're like, what is going on? Are we doing something wrong? Are we not catching on to what's going on? And so it's just chess or checkers, and it's super fun, especially when you know what's going on.
So what gets 41 yards on the ground fixed quickly? Because I think one of the underlying real big surprises to me was that the run game was so ineffective. And, I didn't expect Madison to go crazy by any means, Alex, but I did think that the run game would establish itself more, and it never did really throughout the course of that game.
No, and I think a lot of that comes down to the sense of urgency. There was a play down on the goal line that I remember watching that there was a run play, a simple zone, and it's one of those ones where the closer you get to the goal line, the more you have to hone in, the more you have to be like, we want it more than you, because they're going to start bearing down, and they realize that the field space is running out quickly, so they're going to start trying to make you earn it. And it was a simple zone, and if you pause it, by the time the running back gets to the line's gone nowhere. And no one's done anything. No one's coming off the ball. No one's getting any drive. And I understand that they're big, big dudes up front. But at some point, you have to understand the situation. We need to run the ball. We need to take the fight to them. And that was one of the things that when you're watching this game, it just comes back to me as being sloppy. You're being sloppy. You don't understand. It's week 1. Your hair should be lit on fire. You have not played a game in 9 months. What the hell are you waiting for? You guys know how pissed off I got. I get pissed about this stuff because you're sitting around all year waiting and you're like, I just can't wait. I just can't wait to go out there. And then you go out and there's no sense of urgency. There's no sense of pride in what you're doing. And those things can be shored up. I don't think that Alexander Madison's a bad running back. I think he's a great running back. I think he's a tough running back. I think he made some plays that were phenomenal. He had that quick screen catch out to the right those are plays that are awesome. Let's start doing some of that more. That's fun to watch. But at the same time, it's like the run game has to be sufficient this year, no matter what happens. We can all do this again, and I'm not even going to do it this year. You know me. I'm from Cleveland. I dealt with their problems for too long, and I came here. And last year, just broke me forever, and I'll never, ever, ever jump on this. But I'm telling you right now, if you do not shore up the run game early, when it comes to later in the season, you are going to have massive problems. You are not going to do anything. You are not going to go anywhere. Congratulations, you went to the wild card. Anybody can go there. The Houston Texans could go to the wild card this year for all we care. Doesn't matter what's going to happen. All that matters is that eventually you win something big. And at the end of that, when you turn around and look and you're like, where did we go wrong? Oh, we just never established a run game all year. We just couldn't rely on something fundamentally sound when everyone figured us out. That's a problem. So for me, it's like, you better fix these problems. You better fix them now.
Yeah. Well, or someone might get their ass. A new LinkedIn profile, Declan. Who are we firing here? We're bringing it back. Declan
Come on now,
fires
Deck.
someone's ass here on Trenches with Boone.
All right. I'm going to do the greatest hits album here for the first edition or re-edition of Dex Fires Someone's Asses. This is, my greatest hit. This is the one I come on for the encore after my first set finishes. Because I haven't obviously watched any football in the last 9 months. There's been no NFL football. And it reminded me, can we please, I'm begging you, can we please move on from the Fox NFL Sunday studio crew that has been there since the dawn of time?
Of all the people you could fire, you're firing Fox?
No, I want a new slate of people. It's the same damn people talking about the same things for 20 years, dude. I can't do it. Fox NFL kickoff
20 years, dude. Some of those dudes have been on for like 30 years.
Wow.
94.
I can't believe you
have the list
said that.
here.
I'm a little baffled myself, but I guess you're right. And you know what, Deck? I'm going to tell you what. I love all those guys on there, and I'm with you. It's hard to watch some of those old guys be like, hey, you did a great thing for a lot of years. Right, you were funny, but it's time to move on. But if you notice, if you look around the league, there's been a changing of the guard with the quarterbacks. Like all these new young quarterbacks are coming up. Pat Mahomes is now becoming the old Tom Brady-esque, where he kind of led everybody, right? So now you kind of got to let the broadcasters follow him with them. Like, hey guys, thanks for everything you did, but we're going to start bringing in some new, fresh blood, funny guys. Hey, Deck, I'm with you, dude. I'm with you.
Wow. Boonie's firing Howie Long right now. Just
Howie, I love you. I would never do that to you. I'm saying it's one of those things where generationally
Would you agree?
I see it. I agree, because when I talk to my 6th grade team, I try to talk about guys that I know, and they're like, who? The guy with the Broncos? Who's that?
Frank Gore, kids. Let's talk
Remember
about Frank Gore.
the 1984 Super Bowl, you punks?
Gore? Guys, I said Frank Gore, and these kids on the 6th grade looked at me like, who's that?
Yeah.
It's not even that long ago, right?
I go, guys, he's like 16,000 yards.
But like
you don't
Fox
know who like the number 3 is?
Fox NFL Kickoff, the morning show before the noon slate starts. That's a good show. It's got new people on it. It's got fresh young blood on it. Like it's a nice, more upbeat and more with the time show. Fox NFL Sunday has Terry Bradshaw, has been there since 94. Howie Long's been there since 94. Jimmy Johnson started in 94 before coming back in 02. Kurt Menefee has been there since like the mid 2000s. It's time for a fresh slate, man.
You know what the problem is?
Else.
Here's what the problem is. A lot of these guys who played in like for sure the 70s, 80s, and even like early 90s, they made good money relative to the human population, but they weren't making like life-changing, like generational money as football players. And so they went in and they were, it was like, I need a second career to make more money. Tom Brady literally made like more than that probably. He probably made like $300 million playing football.
I think it was $330 million, yeah.
They don't need these jobs like guys
but
20 or 30 years
one
ago.
For Fox for $375
and
million.
has not done it yet because he's like, I don't know if I really want to do that.
Yeah.
Guys, yeah.
You know what?
Honestly, I don't think he will. Do you think he
Pre-game
will?
Pre-game shows now should be completely reworked. They're not necessary in their current incarnation.
What would you do then?
Well, first of all, the only stuff that I care about is information stuff, like about injuries or reckless speculation, which they used to get more of. Schefter used to piss people off. Now he won't do it.
So
would
you'd
go
put like
way-
Jay Glazer in a hot tub for an hour, just dishing
and just
scoops.
tell me
That's
what
you
the
would do?
hell's going on.
Tell me
Yeah.
what's coming up on
Tell
your
me
phone.
who
What are you
hates
getting
whom.
texts about?
Jay
Who's
Glazer
fighting?
bench pressing
That
and
the
giving
Vikings, that
scoops.
Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins on Monday in the facility in the quiet of TCO got into a shouting match. That's what I want.
Where did the schism thing come from that one time? Who
That was
reported
from
that the
Schefter.
Vikings had a schism?
It was Schefter because of supposedly he was told that Brett Favre being put in the locker room caused a schism because there were Vikings who desperately thought Tavares Jackson should start. God rest his soul. But that's when Schefter would report stuff that pissed off teams. Yeah. Now he's done with that. I want more juicy gossip.
It won't happen because you know that once they find out who's leaking everything, it's going to be a big problem. That's why.
Wow, dude. You guys just fired Terry. You and
that's why I need
Boone
guys
and
like you.
Declan firing
Declan
Terry
fired
Bradshaw.
Declan fired him. I was just sitting at the table like, sorry, guys.
You hand them the pink slips. You hand them.
No, I did not.
Man.
Yeah, who's knocking on Michael Strahan's door? That's what I want to know.
He backed off completely.
You know, that show, the Fox show, has been around since 1994. And like Declan kind of went through it. Terry Bradshaw and Howie Long have always been on it since 1994. Jimmy Johnson's been on it 2 different stints for like 90% of the years. Barry Switzer was on that show for 1 year before Michael Strahan took his spot. Barry Switzer. Interesting.
Sure, it was awful.
And now we don't even have a comedic foil guy. We had Jimmy Kimmel, Frank Caliendo, and Rob Riggle. And now we don't.
Good. I love
Judd. Judd doesn't want to be entertained or laugh. He just wants.
I want
the information.
Jimmy
Give
Kimmel
me the
good.
information.
Give me the scoops. Give me the gossip. Give me who's dating whom and what coach hates what quarterback.
Who's dating whom?
That's all I want.
Joe Burrow's engaged, and the women of Cincinnati are not happy about it. Coming up next on Fox NFL Sunday.
Bum.
They need to have a turnaround too. We'll see.
Yeah, they do.
A lot of teams need to turn around this week.
Yeah, a lot of flush it and move on from week 1 here. So, well, Booney, any other final thoughts from you here on the rebirth of trenches on Purple Daily? Boone's going to have more on his podcast, O-Line Committee, around the NFL film breakdowns, takes, Fat Guy Fantasy, Draft, etc. So
yes, it'll be great, and this year we'll have a lot more film too. I hope break a lot more things down.
We may need to do. We'd love for these trenches episodes to be like largely film. So we may need to get our people together here and figure out
how we get
a way to make that happen in a timely manner here. So our people will talk to your people, and then they can talk to other people, and we'll
Stick figures. Stick figures is next, Booney. Draw them up.
Maybe that's what Judd draws a stick figure.
We're better than that.
There's Kirk Cousins right there.
Hey Judd, real quick. If you're Kirk Cousins, maybe you want to go play the lottery here, have better chances than staying upright yesterday. If he wanted to go play the lottery, where should he go?
I'm going to tell you exactly what now, because the Vikings lottery scratch game is the official scratch game of the team, and you could win up to $100,000 or second chance prizes, including season tickets or an away trip. That's officially exciting. Minnesota Lottery, just say I'm in, must be 18 or older to play. Even if the Vikings didn't win, you can with a Vikings scratch game.
Awesome, man. Booney, we love you. We're happy to have you back.
It's going to be a fun year.
Or not. And either way, it'll be fun to break it down with you.
There's that negativity. That's why I'm here. I can't. Listen.
Come on. We got 3 more sleeps, 1 more turnaround this week.
Quick
we
turnaround.
need you in Philadelphia Thursday night, starting
boys.
at right guard. That's what we need from Alex Boone.
Listen, quick turnaround. We wash our mouths out with that. We turn around. We fix these problems. We come out. We bring the fight to them. You guys get the weekend off. I'll give you the weekend off. You win this game. You lose, you're back Saturday. Yeah.
Full pads 2 a day on Saturday.
Full pads Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're back training camp schedule.
Tuesday for most, but not for Kirky Boy. All right. That's a wrap. Trenches with Boone here on Purple Daily. Click that subscribe button, the like button on the Score North and Purple Daily YouTube channels. We'll see you guys later.